Hey, everybody. Welcome to Tech Recess. I'm your host, Mike Larry, and by the power of deductive reasoning, that's got to be Ben. That's Ben Boyd. Ben, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing wonderful. It's Thursday. It's almost the end of the week. I'm ready to go, and I'm finally not on a meeting that I have to be on, which is awesome.
Is it Thursday, man? The days are all starting to run together for me now. It's hard for me to keep track.
You mean every day doesn't feel like a Tuesday or a Friday, or it doesn't
It
matter?
feels exactly like Groundhog Day. I will say, man, it's been super interesting. I know you and I have talked about it before, seeing the footage that NASA has put out about how the air pollution has changed so dramatically in just this short amount of quarantine time, man. It's been pretty dramatic.
Man, you talk about that and the fact that the reduction in pollution has really helped with solar generation in Europe. Like it's the highest it's ever been in the history of all solar, which is awesome because I, as a solar aficionado, love hearing people using renewable energy.
Yeah, man, that's pretty awesome. So I almost feel like after we return to whatever normalcy we're going to get to after all the dust settles, that maybe we should have like a global quarantine month where everybody just works from home for 1 month to help just kind of undo some of the damage that we've done for the remaining 11 months of the year.
I would almost say yes, but I've got to get back on the road and start meeting with people in person, or I will like go crazy.
You and me both, man. The stir craziness has really started to set in for me over the last week, and it was really bad because we had a couple of days of really heavy rain. So like I couldn't even get out and do anything out in the yard or outside and get any separation from my family. As much as I've loved having quality family time over the last few weeks, everybody needs some space. That's why I'm really hesitant to downsize into one of those tiny houses, even though tiny house living is kind of pretty appealing at times.
Yeah, we've got a guest coming up next week who hasn't left his Brooklyn apartment in 6 weeks. I can't imagine what that feels like.
Dude, if I lived in New York right now, I would be on complete lockdown. Like I wouldn't even know if the sun was still in the sky. That's how inside I would be. They are really dealing with some stuff up there, man. So let's go ahead and start getting into it. This is usually a time where we go through introductions to let people know what this nonsense is, what Tech Recess actually is, and who these two knuckleheads are, who Ben and I are. But we're sick of doing introductions, and so we're planning on actually filming a little bit of a backstory on who we are and what this is about, and putting it on our page. But
I already filmed it, by the way. He's just slow.
he's not lying, but let's just say the quality of what he put together is just not up to par yet. So I'm going to have to somehow politely circle around with him and have him redo this so that we can actually put together something worthy of the Tech Recess audience. But that being said, man, we're just two guys that love tech, and Tech Recess gives us an opportunity to come together, take a quick little 20-second timeout, so to speak, from our daily activities and talk about tech, whether it's in our work life, whether it's in our personal life and how it affects us, or just what we've seen that's cool in or out of the industry. It also gives us an opportunity to come together with our peers within the industry, some subject matter experts, some vendors, and just bring together people that are of like mind, and also bring some things in front of you that we just find are interesting. So, with that being said, we have a recurring segment on our show called Ben's Timeout Corner, because to be honest, he doesn't really play well with others. So, we put him in timeout, let him think about what he's done, and usually he rants about something for a few minutes before I let him come back out. So, Ben, go to timeout.
Well, I don't like to call it rant. I like to call it informing others of what's going on in the world. And it's my special time to do so. So, what do I want to talk about today? I want to talk about the making decisions uh, without thinking about cybersecurity as an afterthought, or not even thinking about cybersecurity to begin with. And I'll kind of explain myself about that. Right now, there's a lot going on when it comes to the CARES Act and all the PPP loans and everything going on. And what I'm seeing here is a lot of people are being phished, they're being whaled, they're being sent emails by hackers and by those outside that want to grab your credentials, that want to grab your financial information, etc. So really be careful when you're replying to emails. Be careful when you're working with banks. Be careful when you're transacting business, whether it be new kinds of business because of the additional loans and the additional financial burden that we're all under. So be careful with that, and realize that although the government is really helping us out here, they're not really thinking about cybersecurity either. There's so much going on behind the scenes, to get this money to the individuals out there as fast as possible, that cybersecurity is kind of an afterthought. And by an afterthought, I mean probably not there in the first place. So be conscientious, think about what you're doing, and don't think that the government will secure every part of your life. Make sure that you are taking proper precautions with your cyber hygiene. And that's my security timeout corner rant of the day.
Man, I think that's a really good set of points that you just brought up. And I kind of just want to touch back on a few of those things, because whether it's from a corporate perspective or just a residential or end user perspective, our attack surface with this displacement just got a lot broader. So we need to be more conscientious from a security posture perspective on what we're doing, and having good I guess online hygiene, like Ben just talked about, is really appropriate at this time. There was something I wanted to say too. I mean, us both being involved in our InfraGard chapter, we have seen the security alerts of the intense ramp up of phishing emails and things coming looking like they're coming from legitimate sources like the World Health Organization or the CDC, or you're even seeing it appear to come from technology partners in the IT space specifically. So doing your due diligence right now when it comes to doing business online remotely is of the utmost importance.
I've got that just happened. Actually, I just spoke with a colleague yesterday who said they ran a phish test the day after everyone went home and started working from home. It was previously scheduled. They had no idea COVID-19 would happen. It just happened to be scheduled a couple months in advance. And CEO was furious. Why would you phish our employees right after they go home? We don't understand. You don't understand what it's like to run a company, blah, blah, blah. After that, though, people outside of IT were getting emails from InfraGard sources, from FBI sources, from Homeland Security, from other people in the industry that aren't necessarily cybersecurity focused all the time. And those VPs and those other C-levels went to that CEO and was like, I can't believe we did that. That was awesome. We are so glad that you guys were ahead of the schedule and actually tested us out, because now we're ahead of what everybody's telling us. So yeah, it's an amazing time that we're in, and being aware of what you're doing is definitely helpful.
Absolutely. Back to recurring segments. Next up, we have Show and Tell, which gives us an opportunity to bring a sponsor onto our show, and for them to utilize this platform to basically discuss their business or their product for 2 to 4 minutes. Just kind of shine a quick little spotlight on who they are and what they do. We haven't received a sponsor for this week's episode, so we just wanted to go ahead and make this announcement. Ben, is there anything that you want to say to hopefully entice somebody to come forward and be a sponsor? Which it doesn't really take much, maybe just donating a shirt or some of those socks that we usually give away at events, right? We could do any type of thing from a sponsorship perspective, can't we?
Yeah, definitely. Whether it be a digital giveaway or a pizza card or what have you, it's just a way for you to get out there and market yourselves and be a part of Tech Recess as we start from the ground up with our 22 subscribers right now.
We're at 22 now. We must have gotten one more within the last week.
Oh, no, I just looked at that really quickly. It says 21.
All right, so that's it for Show and Tell this week. Today's topic is one that I'm really interested in, and our guest, I'm really happy to have him on with us. Oftentimes, because of the industry that I work in, so much attention is given to the big whales, the big customers, because from a sales perspective, everybody wants to have the biggest margin. They operate primarily within a margin-driven type of or compensation type of package, right? And so there's that incentive to always go for the biggest customers, to always go for the biggest sales. And oftentimes the small business owner gets overlooked in that. And more oftentimes than not, they're the ones that actually have the biggest needs. They don't have the financial resources available to go out and buy the latest and greatest tools and gadgets and solutions for problems. They don't have the financial capability to employ the technological resources that are capable of supporting these systems. So they don't have the onboard technical skill sets to do a lot of the stuff. They're really strapped, usually pretty thin, and wear a whole lot of hats. And so today we have a guest speaker who is a small business owner. He is a husband. He is also a dog father, which I love because I love animals. And he is the co-owner of 2 small businesses in the Northwest Arkansas area. So Ben, help me welcome Mr. Joel Brown. Joel, man, thank you so much for joining Ben and I, man. We really do appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk tech with Ben and myself.
Absolutely, guys. Thanks for having me. I was saying earlier, I'm not near as smart as you guys when it comes to this tech stuff, but definitely happy to give my input on what's going on with our small businesses and what we utilize. So appreciate
Well, I'll tell the world my secret. I'm not smart. I just act like I am.
Well, you're still a little bit younger than me, Ben, so you're ahead of the curve on me in some cases when it does come to tech. I feel like I'm slowly being put out to pasture because things are changing so fast, and that you are on Reddit at all hours of the day, it seems, finding out what's the newest, latest, and greatest thing.
Are we gonna drop the fact that you run a tech podcast and have an iPhone 6 right now? Is that what we're gonna do?
Oh, how dare you? How dare you? You were dropping bombs on here. I actually thought about that SE2 that just came out because I'm tempted not to upgrade again this year because of the portless one that's coming out next year, along with some other upgrades that are slated, like possibly no notch at all. So I'm frustrated that I've decided that I was going to upgrade this year when I really want next year's phone. I'm not going to lie. But yes, rocking a tech podcast while still sporting the 6 Plus. It's the Plus. All right, I got a lot of extra real estate. So Joel, man, for our viewers that have no idea who you are, will you do us a favor and do them a favor and maybe talk a little bit about yourself and tell them what businesses you run and what it is you actually do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a co-owner. Actually, it's a family business. My parents started Good Shepherd In-Home Senior Care about 10 years ago, back in 2011. Which the main focus is what we do is we hire quality caregivers and we put them in homes for seniors that are needing the non-medical side of attention. So like maybe they're struggling with cognitive issues such as Alzheimer's or dementia. Maybe they're just needing help with some companionship and some socializing because their family members aren't able to be there all the time. But we do anything from like cooking, cleaning, bathing. We do medication reminders. And we just help make sure that they're maintaining their independence while staying at home before they have to make that transition, and hopefully keep them out of going into like a nursing home or an assisted living, because most research shows that 90% of people are going to want to stay in their homes as long as possible. And so sometimes as we get older, they get weaker. We're able to find some people that will, good people that will help them out and kind of remain at home while staying strong. So they also started a non-emergency wheelchair transportation company about 4 years ago. So we have about 10 wheelchair vans that run locally and long distance here in Northwest Arkansas. And so we've done trips to Miami, Florida. We've done trips down to Houston, Texas. And we bring people that are wanting to come back up here to Arkansas to either be with their families or go to a different home or assisted living place to get them back to where they were at. So,
man, that's awesome. As oftentimes as a young person, you don't think about the elderly or elderly services. It's not really something that's in the forefront of your thoughts. But as somebody who's now moved into my 40s, I've been around long enough to see enough people make that transition and the impact that dementia and Alzheimer's has not only on themselves but the loved ones around them, seeing the cognitive decline. And so I think what you do, man, is an awesome service, and especially right now in this time of need, it's a necessary service.
Yeah, it really is. And my parents have laid an awesome foundation for this company, and I've just been trying to take it on and learn as much as I can from them. And also I've definitely inherited their compassion for the elderly and also all different types of people alike. And so It's been good though. It's been a great process so far.
That's awesome, man. I'm kind of curious because in so many different landscapes, Ben and I see some businesses doing really well during this time, and some businesses really struggling right now just to keep employees employed, much less develop or grow new business. And so, how has this pandemic affected your business? Because part of me thinks, man, now would be a great time, especially from a transportation perspective. But then the other side of me says, well, maybe people are just really scared also, and maybe not, being shuttled back and forth from too many places right now. So, what are you seeing as far as business impact with regards to this pandemic we're going through right now?
Yeah, absolutely. We've honestly seen a decline on both sides of our businesses, not so much on the home care side, but definitely with transportation. A
Mm.
lot of that is because we have contracts and service agreements with hospitals and facilities to take these patients. There's no non-elective surgeries going on. It's only everything that is deemed medically necessary. So really the only things that we've been really focusing on is dialysis patients, transporting them, or radiation, things like that. Right now, the hospital censuses are very low here in Northwest Arkansas. They're trying to keep it as empty as possible in case something were to happen. And so that slows down our business, is because there's nobody to really take back, or that's getting discharged, take back to the facilities or take to the hospitals. But yeah, it's affected us a little bit on the home care side. We've lost about 10 to 15 clients just because they're nervous about having caregivers that are young in there and affecting their health. And so I'm glad it hasn't affected us as badly as I thought, because we do work with the seniors. Luckily, they still want that help. And we're taking extra precautions just to make sure that we're keeping them safe. All of our caregivers have to have masks, gloves. We send them with hand sanitizer and different types of Clorox wipes and everything to make sure that they're as safe as possible. We also make sure that they check in with a thermometer just to make sure they're fever free, things like that. And so, but it's been, with ASA declaring that they might open up elective surgeries here in the next couple of weeks, I think that'll help us get back on track with the transportation side.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, you just referenced Asa. That's Asa Hutchinson, the governor of Arkansas, right? So they're looking at opening things up. Man, it's awesome that it sounds like you're going the extra mile to ensure the safety of your customers and essentially the safety of everybody around you at this time. So this is a show about tech. So let's get on to tech. And I want to kind of get out of you, when I hear about your business in home care and transportation services, I don't hear too much about, this company. This is going to be a heavily stacked company when it comes to technology. So can you just kind of talk about how technology has maybe enabled your business to operate more efficiently, or talk about tech and what way it's empowered you to better serve your customers?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we have an awesome scheduling software that we would use on the home care side called ClearCare Online that allows us to schedule everything. It allows us to track our caregivers. It's where they clock in and clock out. They're able to make reports on there for clients that we take care of. They're able to enter notes. And so it's all anybody can access online anywhere. So it's not like a software you have to install on your computer. It makes it easy to access and track things that are going on, keep up with notes and everything to see if anybody's needing anything. And so you can also send out emails to mass caregivers to see, or mass emails to caregivers to see if they're wanting any extra shifts, if they can cover a shift, that type of deal. And so that's been a great help. The big one has really helped us out on transportation. We just started getting very busy starting last year, and it was very archaic what we were doing beforehand. We were just doing paper, writing it all down on paper and taking a picture of it and sending it to the driver to get where they were. We didn't ever know where they were necessarily at. And so recently we installed GPS systems, and we also got involved with a scheduling software as well through Verizon that allows us to dispatch the jobs to the driver's tablets that we provided for them. And they're able to accept that job. We're able to see exactly where they're located so we can be efficient in sending them to the right place, make whoever's closest to that patient that's needing it at the time, we can dispatch that driver. And we can also monitor how fast they're going. We can monitor if they're hard braking or accelerating too quickly. So it really allows us to call them out if there are safety issues going on. We have that proof that we can go back and look at and discuss that with them.
Man, that's awesome. So you've got, scheduling type of technologies that you're leveraging, along with driver monitoring and analytical stuff that you're leveraging as well. Talk to me about like customer onboarding. Let's say you have a new client that wants to utilize your services, whether it's in home care or transportation services. How is technology used to help onboard these customers and get them kind of aware of what you can offer, bring them on as a customer, handle billing, all of that good stuff?
Yeah, it's been great because we can set up an ACH through our systems online, or you can do credit card as well. But ACH has been our go-to. It's almost been a requirement just to not have to worry about necessarily chasing money or worrying about a check or anything. You can set that up through the ClearCare online system, and so it's we do an assessment with the client on the home care side. We go and make sure that we're the right fit for them before going into it, and then we take all that information. We have a detailed list of questions and notes that we take when we're doing this assessment that we have to enter into the system.
Yeah.
And so any caregiver or any of our scheduling people can look at it and see what's going on and what's going to be, how do we figure what's going to be the best caregiver to put in place with that client. As far as like the transport goes, it's really easy. We just enter in the new client. If they're a new person and they're just needing to get transported, we just enter their information in. We can put a credit card on file for them. So if they use us in the future, we don't ever have to go back and collect that information again. We're able to do that. So
Okay.
So you came from a Fortune 500 transportation company. Did you take some of what you learned there and apply it to the small business, or did you take what you learned, or are you like reinventing it, or are you thinking I can do better? Tell me a little bit about how your past life has influenced what you're doing today.
yeah, it's helped out a little bit. I wasn't so much on the logistics side of things. I was more on kind of like driver recruiting, which is kind of more of a sales role. But I was able to listen and go monitor like and shadow the ops side of things, which kind of helped me get an idea of what to do better when I came on board here. I just noticed some things and was able to take some ideas that that company had taught me. And so, yeah, we've definitely been able to implement some things. I've been able to take some of that knowledge and do that with our company as far as just, especially with like fuel cards and things like that. Because first we are just giving them company cards, but now we have a fuel card process that they use at a gas pump, and like it automatically sends the receipt to our system. It automatically uploads to QuickBooks, which just makes it more efficient for our accountant and for bookkeeping reasons. It makes things quicker. So
I bet. There was one thing that I wanted to ask when you were talking about a lot of the questions and being able to take credit card payments and keep credit cards on file. So that sounds like a lot of customer information. How do you view cybersecurity as a small business owner? Because it sounds like in the vertical that you operate, you might even have some HIPAA requirements and obligations that you have to abide by, right? So how do you view cybersecurity, and what do you do to protect your customers' and clients' information?
yeah, absolutely. It's extremely important. In fact, even when Ben was just doing his little segment in timeout talking about the loans and everything, it just made as a business owner, you're wanting the best, and you're wanting to make sure everything's in place and secure. And so like, it's like, man, is everything good? But luckily recently here, about 6 months ago, we reached out to a third party company called Computer Consulting Services, and they're a local tech company here, and they monitor our 5 core computers that our director, our accountant, and my other partners' computers. They're always uploading, monitoring, making sure that everything is virus free, that the cybersecurity, that nobody's trying to get in and hack our information and see what's going on. But there's a lot of HIPAA protocols that we have to take in order to protect our clients' information, and also just to make sure if people are calling and asking about their parents, making sure that they have the HIPAA sign form that they're allowed to even ask those questions. And so there's a lot that goes into it that you have to definitely be on your toes on, and it's very important to us. I'm glad that we have this company that stays in touch with us, lets us know what's going on, lets us know they're sending out constant emails on what to be on the lookout for. That's kind of what the new, I guess, scams are out there, and just be aware. And it also helps our senior folks out, because sometimes they're very subject to be getting scammed as well, because they can get taken advantage of because they're not necessarily sure what's going on. And so we're able to kind of keep them in the loop as well with what's out there, and help prevent them from being taken advantage of.
So that relationship with that managed security provider,
That's what I was about to say.
that monitors, yeah, that's critical to you doing your business and doing your business securely.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at first it was just like Mike had said earlier, when you're a small business, you wear multiple hats. And so like at first it's just all of us doing everything. We just like, what's a cheap software that we can use? We went with like, I think it's Carbonite or something that backs up your computers. But I think as we've kind of grown bigger and like there is a lot more information and there is more as we become more stable and more finances come through, I was like, we really need to reach out to someone that's a professional that can help us monitor and be safer, as safe as we can with everyone's information. And so it's been a blessing to have them on our side and just kind of keeping us in the loop on what's going on.
So you
Yeah,
said they were a small tech firm. How long have you guys been in partnership together, and how did you find them? Where are they based out of?
Yeah, absolutely. They're actually based out of West Fork, which is just about 10 miles south of where we're located
So
at.
they're local. Okay.
They are local. Yeah, they're local. They're actually a family-run business as well. I think that's what kind of appealed to us about them. I think
Oh,
that they're easier to communicate with. Like whenever you're both small companies, you want that relationship that you just know that you can call them and they're going to be available. And so usually they have about 5 or 6 people that are on their team that monitor. They run 24/7 because both of our businesses are 24/7 as well. And so they're constantly have a night crew. If we need to file a ticket through them, we can do that. If we're having issues with our computer's not working or the Wi-Fi is out or something, they can run tests to help us get that figured out. And if they really need to come on board or come on site, then they can. But most of it they're able to handle remotely, which is awesome.
yeah, that is awesome, and it's so interesting to me because Ben and I essentially we work globally, but we've grown up in the small town atmosphere. So you understand what the small hometown business is like when it comes to a good quality service. Being able to come in and get a service above and beyond what a typical branch chain or corporate conglomerate offering can provide you. And so a lot of times, you'll opt for the smaller business because you want that certain quality of care or experience to be a little bit higher. And to hear that come from you as a business owner, that you would prefer to work with a small family owned business just because you could have a better relationship than you would with some typical big company. That's really interesting just to hear from a business perspective here and coming from you.
Yeah, and I hear it more from the whys rather than the whats. I'm hearing that your your relationship and you're being able to contact them 24/7 and they're being able to come on site with you. I hear that same thing from public companies that are well over 5,000 employees and own stadium rights and things like that. They're concerned with the same thing when it comes to technology. They want a true partner. They don't want someone to just come sell them stuff and leave. They want someone to walk with them in the journey of their business.
Yeah,
So,
it's all about not being a number, just a statistic or a sale. And we kind of deal with that with Verizon right now on the transport side. Yeah, it's a great system, but whenever we do have issues, it's a pain to go through customer service sometimes and figure out who's actually. It'd almost be better if you had someone tailored to know what our business is and know how we operate, and we can get a quick answer, a quick fix. It's usually you're on hold for an hour, and once you get through to somebody, you still don't get your right answer that you need, and they're going to have somebody reach back out to us, which could take days. And so, with this small company that we use for just monitoring our system, they're usually there right away or within hours as far as addressing our concerns. So.
So hearing how
Awesome.
you've evolved from other support to being supported by this smaller business and having a much better experience, if you could tell a technology partner or vendor, regardless of if they're a service provider or whatever type of vendor or manufacturer that they are, if you could tell them one thing about what it's like working with a small business owner to try to help get a better experience going forward, what would you tell these technology providers about working with small business owners?
Yeah, definitely be patient with us. I mean, I know we're small. Just be patient. We have this grand idea that we think going to make it work, or have an idea of how you guys should be doing it for us. But I think the main thing is just communicating and listen to what our needs are. Because before we had this transportation software, we went through I think 2 or 3 other companies that had told us. Um, they pretty much just told us what we wanted to hear. And once we got in through the training process, it wasn't working what we had anticipated. And we had asked very detailed questions because we knew we needed something to make work for us. Just like specifically integrating with QuickBooks. We're a small company. We use QuickBooks Online. And we were just wanting something that would be easy to transfer over and into our line items and be recorded and save the hassle of entering them manually all the time through
Hmm.
our accountant. And so just be patient, be listening to us, and make sure that you're not overselling the product or just trying to get a sale. I mean, if you can't do it, great. Tell us if there's a solution to like, or you can work on a solution to make it happen. I think communication is key too. Just making sure that you're following up with us. You're asking how everything's going. If you can send someone just to like go through and walk us through the process and make sure that we're utilizing everything properly would be huge. And so that's kind of what I guess my 2 cents on what we would look for as a small business. So.
No,
Awesome.
I think you're absolutely right and right on. And funny on the flip side, I think that's conversely why a lot of people overlook small businesses because they don't want what tends to be a high maintenance customer they have to be patient with. You know what I mean? And they want to go after somebody that they can sell tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands and million dollars worth of equipment to and services and training on top of that, which is all margin. So yeah, it's funny to always kind of see both sides of things and what you as a small business owner need compared to what most sales guys are incentivized to try and do.
And what I've told people too is like, yeah, we may be small now, but you never know. We may take off, and you may have landed a small business that's really expanded and grown and helped build your revenue too, because we're going to continue to utilize that service. So I wouldn't just downplay us in the beginning because we are small. If there's an opportunity that we're very sustainable right now, we're doing well, there's chances we may grow and expand, and that could be expanding for you as well. So
Absolutely, absolutely. So, as a small business owner, man, what's the biggest pain point that you have today? What keeps you up at night, man, when it comes to your business and technology?
yeah, there's just a lot of safety. There's always things that I'm worried about with our vans, our drivers properly trained, or is everyone secured in these wheelchairs that we're putting in there? Or is it, since we're both 24/7 companies, did this caregiver show up to that shift? And if they don't, how are we going to make sure that that client's taken care of? The biggest issue we have is finding these loyal, good employees that want to show up to these shifts and aren't going to no call, no show on you, because um, it's not just like a restaurant world. It's somebody's life and livelihood that you're actually trying to help provide a quality of life for. And sometimes they rely on that caregiver to get through that day. And so whenever that's going on and you hear about that, you just want to make sure that you have a backup in place and that you have the right people taking care of that situation. And so, but there's always things that are running through my head that I never knew what being an owner was until a couple of years ago. And it is a lot harder to sleep at night. And you always got ideas, not only on safety, but what do you want to do for marketing? What do you want to do for this? How are we going to invest into technology? Like right now, I just talked with my partners, and I'm like, I think we really need to go and find someone that's really good with SEO that can help us out with the geofencing thing. Stuff that I have no freaking clue how to operate, but I know somebody can do and maybe help drive in a couple more referrals and drive in a little bit more business too.
That leads right into my last question is how do you view technology? Is it a necessary evil, or is it really something to help you expand and grow your business at a faster clip?
Yeah, no, I mean, we still want to, like, you don't want to just utilize it just to kind of bring in clients. Our goal at Good Shepherd is it's very focused on quality and relationships, but at the same time, you need technology to make that happen. It definitely helps streamline things. It helps us be more efficient. It's easier to communicate. It's easier to access things online, whether you're wanting to look at a profile of a client or a caregiver, or if you're just wanting to see what's been going on the transport world. How many transportations are we doing? Where's everybody at? How is everything operating? It's definitely necessary. I wouldn't call it evil. It depends on how you look at it, but it's been beneficial overall. And so, but at the same time, we still want to maintain, as a family-run business and local, that quality and that relationship, and make sure that everyone's actually being taken care of and that we're communicating effectively with everyone too on a personal level.
I love it when I assume an answer and give them an either or question and it doesn't answer.
No,
I'm such a, you know what assuming does, right?
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That was awesome. No.
We're starting to run a little bit long, so I want to start tightening this up. But one thing I did want to ask you, if you could go back and tell yourself one thing that would make your job easier in the long run, what would you go back, 10 years ago or however long you've been in the business, and tell yourself now that would change things for you?
I would say always stay reading and educated on top of things. I'm not a big fan of reading, but there's always just there's always people out there that are smarter than you. And so you always want to get out there and ask questions, or that they have more experience. Like you always want, and it doesn't necessarily have to pertain to our business, but there's always people such as you guys. Like I can't tell you how much I appreciate just being in a thread and constant communication with you guys. I've learned so much that I can help apply to my businesses. And so just always stay on top of things, always ask questions. Don't assume that you know the right answers or that this is going to be the best way. Always question what you're doing and if it's the best way to do it, and keep trying to evolve, keep trying to get better. And so that's sometimes as a young person, like I'd come in and like I just think that I know so much and that I can implement and do things, but that's not the case. There's other people that you have to bring along with you, or you have to learn how things are done in order to make it the best. And so I know that's kind of just a vague answer, but that's probably what, just be more on top, reading, staying up to date on things. And so
No, I think that's valuable advice. And as somebody who has taken education very seriously in this most recent chapter of my career, man, I definitely value that perspective. Man, I really appreciate you coming on. Ben, do you have any closing thoughts or comments or questions for Mr. Joel before I send him on his way?
No questions, just a thought that I just really, really appreciate your perspective, Joel. Being able to hear from different parts of the industry, as well as different sized organizations, is always an eye opener. And it helps me see where a lot of us can be kind of similar. And it helps me see where a lot needs to be worked on towards our differences as well. So no, I really appreciate your insight. I loved having you today.
yeah, I appreciate you guys very much. Thanks for allowing me to be on here. Mike, should I go ahead and let everybody know about our 6-month debut here coming up?
If you want to put it down out there in front of everybody, that's for you to decide.
Declaring it now. Me and Mike Larry, 6 months in the octagon, as long as COVID it allows it. So
where are we going to find an octagon? Can't we just go out in the backyard and I'll
we
beat
can
the
do
hell
that
out of
too,
you
or
there?
maybe we can find someone and build a cheap one, get some mats out on there. So I don't know.
Now, let me ask you something. When you get roughed up by a 41-year-old, what's that going to do for your young ego?
Hey, I've been roughed up by a lot of 41-year-olds. I play rugby, and these guys do not mess around. And so I've been truck stick, I've been
Truck
kicked, mauled, like whatever. I mean, it's just you get humbled real quick. So I'm always down to get humbled some more if I need to.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're going to need to. Hey, we did have we did have one question come in right there at the wire from TR, which I assume might be Tim Riley. I'm not quite sure. Ben, do you want to read that question and relay that to our guest, Mr. Joel Brown?
Sure, Mr. Joel Brown. TR has a question. He says, as a business owner, do you think rhetoric nowadays is demonizing business owners? And if you do, why?
Can you explain what rhetoric is?
Yeah, it's what you hear out in the industry, the Twitterverse, the news, people saying all these business owners are, the bad part of the society and culture, basically.
Yeah. I don't know I guess I don't really know how to answer that. So hold on, what was the question again? Sorry.
Do you think that the rhetoric is demonizing business owners out there, or do you feel like business owners are a critical part of this culture today?
Do you feel like people are talking trash about you?
Basically, yeah.
No, I think that's why we are where we're at today. Is like we've been a part of Northwest Arkansas, and so I think my parents' influence in the community has just definitely helped them get where they are, and I think they are crucial and critical to everything going on because it's very owner involved. It's not just hey, like toss it to this person, let them figure it out. Like we want to make sure that our team members are very set and that we're available as a support team to them. And so, yeah, I think there's definitely some owners out there that just are there to collect a check and just kind of analyze numbers and just make sure that their margins are good. But we're a little bit more than that. Yeah, we're a for-profit company and we want to do well, but we also want to make sure that we're helping people and making sure they're taken care of too at the same time. So
yeah,
I think
it's interesting to me.
What Ben was saying with like the answer to the question. Yeah, there's probably some people out there like that. That's not our goal. I think there's actually some business owners that do strive to not only make their business profitable, but also make sure that they're providing the quality and what they promise along with it.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I think it depends upon the business that you're at and what vertical you operate in. And by that, what I mean is I see some, corporate entities in IT right now really struggling, really dealing with layoffs and furloughs and things like that. And so I feel like those types of business owners might be receiving some ire right now, even though, we're all dealing with something pretty much unprecedented during the modern time. But then I look and I see local businesses around here. I see small businesses adapting and continuing to operate and continuing to provide services to the community around here. And those businesses are being applauded by the local population. People are so happy that the dairy bar up the street is sterilizing after every customer and wearing masks and gloves and still continuing to provide shakes and burgers and tots with cheese and things like that. So I think that some business owners are being applauded and some might be catching a bunch of flack just because of some of the measures that some are having to take on different levels. And I'm just assuming, and again, Ben, we know what assuming does, right?
Yeah. So he clarified. He said, "Do you feel as though people see you as greedy and not caring about your employee, where they don't see your sacrifice that you are making to build your business?"
I would say I could care less really what they think. I know what my intentions are, and I think I really feel like we have an all-star of team members that we work with that have our same that have embraced our vision and our passion for these people. And so I think that we work very hard. I think that, like you said, it's not just I clock in from 8 to 5, I come home and I can turn it off. It's like I'm constantly thinking about things. I'm constantly worried and wanting to make the business better. And so what we're willing to put in and invest into, I want to see that on the ROI as well. But I also want to make sure that everything's going well. But yeah, I'm sure there's people that think that I'm greedy. I'm sure I get he's the owner's son. He's just coming into it to take from what they've laid a foundation for. But I really believe that they've done something great. I've seen it, and I want to help. I want to help continue to preserve the foundation that they've laid for. And so, when it's all said and done, I know who my close friends are and who I can talk with. I don't necessarily need to dwell on their thoughts and whether they think I'm greedy or not, I guess.
Well, I could tell what kind of a person you are just by the way that you answered. The thing that keeps you up at night is just making sure that your clients are taken care of, because your clients are people. And when you're taking care of people, it ups the stakes on things, because you're directly impacting somebody's quality of life or care for survival in some cases. And when you handle that beyond just a commodity or a revenue stream, it shows your true character. So. Anyway, I don't know why I just rambled and kind of gave you a pat on the back for no reason.
I appreciate that very much. Yeah.
This isn't the feel good session for Joel Brown, so we need to get this thing back on the rails. All right. Any other closing questions or comments, Ben, or do we want to send this gentleman on his way?
I'm good. Thanks, Joel.
Hey, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it again. Maybe we'll do it again soon.
All right, Ben. You have a good one.
All right. See you, boys.
All right, Ben, it's just you and I now. It's just me and you sitting in the auditorium. The speaker has left. It's you and I. The chalkboard is blank. Session's over. How'd you feel about today's Tech Recess?
I thought it was good. I like that we aren't always diving into the machine learning, deep learning, algorithmic weeds. That we're able to talk about anything and everything surrounding tech. And I want to talk about solar panels now. In our next episode.
I made the mistake of bringing up air quality and stuff, and it got you down the renewable track. And here we go. Yeah, I enjoyed today because, like I kind of said in my opening monologue, if you will, is that I feel like the small business owner gets overlooked a lot in our industry because they don't have the financial capital to buy a lot of gear. They don't have the resources to support a lot of technological solutions. And oftentimes they're needy customers. They need their hands held. They don't have the technological resources to really support high-level environments. And so, this was an interesting guest for us to have today, and I looked forward to hearing what he had to say and his perspective, and I really appreciate it.
We're going to have some very interesting guests. Our next 3 or so episodes are going to be filled with interesting people.
Yeah, who's our next guest? And do you know off the top of your head when that's scheduled for?
I do, actually. Our next guest is Miss Stacy Dunn.
Stacy Dunn.
She will be with us next Wednesday at 12:30 Central Time next Wednesday.
12:30 Central Time next Wednesday. And so that's going to be episode 6, right? We're wrapping up episode 5 right now.
That's right.
So episode 6 next Wednesday with Stacy Dunn. I look forward to it. She works for Checkpoint. Am I right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, in the security industry. So yeah, I look forward to it. Do you have, I'm not going to put you on the spot with what topic we're going to talk about. We can go ahead and circle back on that later. I've seen what you've got in line or in store for us next week with Stacy, and I'm excited.
Yeah.
All right, man. I got nothing else for you. I'm going to go ahead and kick you out of here and go to the kickball kickoff. All right, man. It's good to see you. Talk to you later. All right, everybody, the kickball kickoff, the call to action. This is where I leave you with some action items. And Ben has given me a couple over the last 2 weeks. And while they are good and his heart's in the right place, I'm just choosing not to listen to what he's saying and just kind of going off the dome. He's literally giving me the finger off camera right now, just FYI. So this call to action this week, the last few that I've been given have been pretty much centered around family and relationships and connecting with people. And so what I'll say is, actually, Ben, you know what? I had a change of heart. I am going to go with what you said. I am. If you know of somebody during this time that has been impacted by COVID-19, whether it is they have had a family member or themselves get really sick, whether they've lost somebody, or whether they've been impacted from a work perspective, if they've been laid off, if they've been furloughed, reach out to them, pick up the phone and call and just have a conversation. As someone who has been on the receiving end of layoffs and various other things, I can tell you it goes a real long way when someone just takes a minute out of their day to call and let them know that you were thinking of them, that they were on your mind. And so a call from you can go a real long way during this time when someone can be dealing with some really difficult trials and tribulations. So that's the call to action this week. Reach out to someone that you know that's been impacted by this. Connect with them. Let them know that you've been thinking about them and that you wish them well and that you're there to support them if worst case scenario happens. That being said, this is the end of episode 5. Join us next week for episode 6 with, as Ben said, Miss Stacy Dunn. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those things if you did like the content. If you didn't, still comment and rant, because the algorithm will work to make that comment be seen and get people to start arguing. So either way, it does help us get more visibility. So that being said, thank you so much for joining us for Tech Recess this week. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you all next week. All right. Bye, everybody.